Today's Japanese slang term is one of the most important ones I've ever covered in the history of this channel. Like, this is a term on the level of like yabai or majide, and just being a term that you absolutely must know if you're going to interact with Japanese young people, Japanese on the internet, just Japanese on the street. Indeed, I would even say that not knowing this Japanese slang term is basically equivalent to not being fully fluent in Japanese. And that's because the Japanese slang term I'm going to cover in this video is welcome to Bourbon House. This one's on me. First off, I just want you to calm down. Yes, you're here again. And look, I don't expect you to forgive me at all. As they say in Japan, even Buddha would get upset if you poked him 3 times. But when you heard the intro to this video, you have to admit you felt a kind of excitement, a fluttering, something that you couldn't describe with words. And that's why I did it, because in this cruel, unkind world, that's a feeling that I just really don't want you to forget. So, what do you say? What do you have? What's that? You don't want to drink, but you just rather hear an explanation of the Japanese slang term Bourbon house? Well, we can do that. Cheers. So, Bourbon house is a Japanese slang term that it relates to the early days of 2chan, especially the early 2000s. Basically, a fad on 2chan developed where people would put a really interesting and intriguing thread title so that people would click on it. But when they clicked on that link, they wouldn't be sent to that actual content or a discussion of the content, but instead they would see the ASCII art you're looking at now, which basically mirrors the introduction that I did here, except that they offer tequila instead of whiskey. I just didn't have tequila lying around. And they note that having you feel that excitement in this cruel world is the reason that they built the thread. And then, if you got into the joke, if you thought that was kind of funny, the appropriate thing to do would post a comment like this, stating what you'll have as a drink. Now, the origins of this form of language play, though, are not in just a specific thread that someone came up with, but rather, at least according to the Japanese internet, an early 403 page that was used on 2chan to prevent DDoS attacks and also to kind of punish people who loaded a bunch of 2chan pages without actually participating or writing anything. And when they were sent there, they would be presented with this, which is very similar to the text I showed you earlier, except that instead of saying that this tequila is on the house, they say that this page is on the house, and instead of the Buddha reference, it says that somebody named Fox Star would get annoyed. Now, honestly, I find this a bit bizarre in the timeline, as it seems to me like this pages service thing is a parody of the more clearly bar-related dialogue, but every single Japanese website that's out there asserts that this redirection page came first, and for what it's worth, the first use of the tequila text I can find dates back to 2005, whereas the first use of the page text dates back to 2004. I don't think those are the actual start dates, but at least my data aligns with what the Japanese internet is saying. So for some reason, somebody put this together, and if you're an old Japanese internet user who knows who Foxstar is, please let me know. I can't find anything about it. And then the link parody was created later once that page became an established thing on 2chan. This whole process, by the way, of sending people that weren't contributing or were trying to deny service to another page was referred to as tokage no shippogiri, or cutting the tail of the lizard. And in literal Japanese, this refers to like when a lizard lets its tail go to avoid predators, but in general in Japanese is actually a metaphor for when somebody at the top of an organization lets somebody further down be kind of the fall guy, so the tail, the lower person, takes the blame and the upper person runs away. But on the internet it was used to mean to refer people to these error pages. I can't find an explanation of why, but perhaps the metaphor is that the error page, rather than 2chan itself, is taking the hits from the, well, literal hits. Anyway, bourbon houses obviously don't exist anymore really on the Japanese internet. I found assertions that because of this, bourbon is used to mean false information, but I can't find anyone using that way. When I searched bourbon and news together, I just got news about bourbon, which was not unpleasant, but not what we're looking for. But it has seen reference. For instance, last year on Twitter, there was a viral hashtag of say something from the Internet Retirement Home Group, and a lot of people referenced this with the official count of the game Alice Gear Aegis actually making a parody image from their game. These kind of threads, though, someone is tricked into clicking on something, are known as tsurisure, or fishing thread. A little bit of a digression here, but oddly enough, in like fisherman slang, sakana ga sureru means that a fish is no longer taking the bait because they're feeling like something is odd. A different sure, obviously, but I thought it was interesting. And anyway, because these are called fishing threads, there's also some associated slang that a place where a lot of people have been tricked into going to, such as a thread, is referred to as a Tsuribori, which in normal Japanese means an artificial, like man-made fishing hole or fishing pond, but here means a place where people have congregated. You can see an example used right here where somebody notes how in the English internet, Never Gonna Give You Up, the video web page for that is a fishing hole because it has attracted all of these people that have clicked on it through Rickrolling. Although I should note that in 2026, it seems like this term has evolved a little bit just to mean a place where people congregate. For instance, in this example here, Twitter is referred to as a Tsuribori for scammers, and those scammers obviously aren't tricked into using Twitter, they're just incentivized to, and therefore congregate in that place. And so there you have it. That's what the Bourbon House is, that's how it was used, and that's what it means. So I think we're more or less done, but why not join me in a toast in celebrating the acquisition of new knowledge, even if it's out of date? Got a drink? Got some snacks? The only thing I think we really need to set the mood is some music.